I'm Dr. Cait McMahon. I'm the Managing Director of Dart Centre Asia Pacific, a program of Columbia University's Dart Centre for Journalism and Trauma. I'm a psychologist that works with the media profession full-time on the issue of trauma. These are my 5 tips for staying psychologically healthy when reporting on the COVID-19 pandemic. My first tip, number 1, is staying connected to your colleagues and to your family and loved ones. We know the resilience research says that one of the best things to enhance people's resilience is that we remain socially connected. So during this time, especially in this period of social isolation, reach out to your colleagues for your own well-being, but also what we know, the resilience research says that it's not only receiving social support for yourself that enhances resilience, but also giving social support to other people. Reaching out to peers and colleagues is a really important thing, that we check in on each other at this point. My second tip is doing what I call a psychological safety check. Those of you that have been out in the field and have had to do physical safety checks with cameras or whatever, you'll know what that's about. But we don't often think about doing a psychological safety check at the beginning of each assignment or at the beginning of each day. So a way to do that is just to reflect each day on how you are going. Check in with yourself. Am I feeling more vulnerable than usual? Am I feeling a little bit under the weather more than usual? Or am I feeling fine? And by doing a check like this, that will help you get an idea as to whether you need to up your self-care today or whether you're travelling okay, or indeed whether you should be reporting on a particular assignment that might involve trauma or hardship today. You might need to park that if you can and do another story. So doing these psychological safety checks should become part of our daily operating procedure. If you're not feeling psychologically robust today and you don't feel that you can do a particular assignment, it is important to speak to your superiors about that, to your chief of staff or your editor or your manager. Because if they don't know how you're travelling today, then they don't know how to discern what work is appropriate for you. So please feel comfortable at speaking to your superiors, especially at this point in time, because all of us are in this together. All of us are experiencing different levels of anxiety and distress. And so if yours is at a more elevated stage today and you're not able to do a story, it is important to approach your manager. If you feel you can't do that, then maybe speak to a peer and ask them to go with you. So having that sort of support and someone who's an advocate for you would be a really important strategy. My next point is on moral distress, or at the extreme end, what we call moral injury. And this is a new concept that we're learning about, which is not so much about the graphic exposure of trauma, but more the undermining of one's moral compass when you are witnessing or exposed to acts in humanity that really compromise your belief in humanity. And I'm hearing this from journalists that are working as fact checkers and who are coming across lots of content which is deliberately misleading. And so a way to maintain your resilience when you're exposed to this is to really reflect well on your own sense of purpose and mission, because we know a strong sense of purpose and mission does enhance resilience. My final point is around journalists having clarity about their own psychological well-being, their own anxiety and own distress levels, because for the first time we are all part of this story, journalists and the rest of the populations around the world. So when reporting on this story, it's important to be conscious of whether you are projecting your own anxiety in the story, your own sense of distress if you feel distress. So to do some self-reflection on that as to what is the distress and anxiety of those that you are reporting on and what is yours. And to do this self-reflection is very important for you to have that boundary, that sense of objectivity as much as you can in the story, because we're all impacted. So those are my tips. But if you would like to learn more about the Dart Centre for Journalism and Trauma and Dart Centre Asia Pacific, please go to our website at www.dartcentre.org, and you can put in Dart Centre TER or TRE, it doesn't matter. We have a lot of resources there on our website at the moment available for the pandemic, for COVID-19. There are tips and pointers there on how to report on this story, but we have a lot of resources there, generally speaking, as how to cover trauma in all its forms. So please take time to look at the resources. They're free. Pass them on to your friends. And if you want to reach out to the Dart Centre, reach out to me, you can find my contact details on the Dart Centre Asia Pacific website. Thank you.